The Mad Wife by Megan Church, which is my first introduction to this author, which was really, really cool. I got it back in end of October-ish. I was at a Barnes& and Noble, and it was their book of their month pick, I think it was called. Yeah, their our monthly pick. And I was just like, this is speaking to me. I'm liking this. And then I read that it was like a thrillerish. There's some psychological analysis in it. And I was like, I'm here for it. Let's get it. The setting. So we're in the 1950s suburban pressure cooker, okay? I'm talking about you got the kids, the neighborhood's watching, the casseroles need to be lined up, the hair gotta be done, everything gotta be perfect in line, not nothing out of place. You have to because you simply have to. There's no room for mess, there's no room for sadness, there's no room for rage, and there's definitely no room for you to like have humanity. That is the world that our main character, Lulu Mayfield, is living in. And I was like, fuck, that's exhausting, bro. I'm so glad that I live in 2026 because that parallel in life, like I can understand the cultural context because like being Latina, we do live a lot our lives, a lot of us I should say, live a life of el que dirán, which is like what people may think or see say or whatever. And that shit is exhausting, and that is the reason they put so many barriers and boundaries and or lack of boundaries in place. But for this as a woman in that space, you really didn't have room to be human. You had to be whatever the makeup of, your husband. You couldn't even be the image of yourself. You were the image of what your husband or what society had told you to be, and you better not deviate from that. So Lulu Mayfield is our main character. She's doing everything she's supposed to, right? She's holding the image together, holding her family together herself, and really got me in this book shows how she's unraveling. That's one of the good takeaways that I can say from Megan Church, the author, that instantly you're introduced and like you're also peeling back the psyche of the character. Like you don't have to like get through 97 chapters to be like, oh, or like all this like unnecessary world building and descriptive writing. You're like introduced in these spaces. Like in the beginning of the book, she's going through like her routine and like these coupon books that she like saves to buy things. And throughout the whole space, when she's like referring to something, she's like, oh yeah, those are two coupons or those are two books. And it's like you can just see the anxiety in motion of everything she has to do and how it revolves around and how she's trying to be conservative fiscally and because she doesn't want to like bother the husband. And I'm like, if you don't tell that man to open his wallet, be there, be there. Okay, he married you to take care of you in 1950. The least he can do is provide. The least, okay. He keep getting you pregnant. Provide, but all in all, that is how you start to feel the heaviness of the constant performance of perfectionist through Lulu's eyes. Then we enter the disruption. So, in the book, we're introduced that across the street, the house has been empty for quite some time. People have looked and gone, but nobody's really purchased it. And then we finally get, um, the introduction to the character Bitsy. She's with some other man. Um, well, she's with a man. I don't want to say her other man. She's with this man, and from the moment that she appears, it's like even too perfect. Like they speak about her smile, like almost being like painted on, like eerily in a way. And Bitsy is our disruptor in the book. She eventually moves across the street, so we're introduced when they're looking at the home, and then Lulu has her second child, and on the way home from the hospital, they start to see the movers moving in, and she is like, oh, okay. So they purchased a home. And like immediately she goes into this perfection, right? Like you just dropped a whole child out your body. And she's like, oh, I should make them something. Like that's what a good neighbor would do. And it's like she's already jumping into the performance of perfection. But you can also tell that like she's tired, right? Like so we're setting this up. There's about to be a shift in the book. Bitsy doesn't really fit the mold of the neighborhood. She's different. She's curious. She sees things. And from that moment she arrives, the illusion of the suburban perfection starts crackling and unraveling. And that's how we get into the story. I love that there's a psychological depth to the work of the book. Megan Church really did a great job in the psyche of these women. Like I said earlier, this isn't just a story about like marriage or the neighborhood. It's a story about what happens when women are told for generations to sit down, to smile, to behave, to be polite, to be lady. Like, don't do this, don't do that, don't wear this, gotta be this, you gotta, oh, this is what you gotta do to get the man, this is what you gotta do to keep the man, this is what you gotta do. And it's like, all in all, there's just this constant structure and striving for this perfection that doesn't fucking exist. Um, and it lets you into this space of who gets labeled mad, who gets to be believed, who benefits from keeping women quiet in society. And all in all, like the correlation of what really being mad is being fed the fuck up, and how very thin that line goes in within your everyday life as a woman, especially within this time frame. I just want to tell you, I'm so grateful to be born in this generation. I mean, with the few women's rights we still have left, because baby, they're trying to hack them out. And also, if my husband's bitch ass mom ever gave me an etiquette book at my baby shower, straight to hell. Send them straight to hell. No trial, no discussion, exit left. Because why would you think that's a proper book to give me after making a child from scratch in this moment? But that's what she receives, right? Like, it's just like the audacity. But she also writes like, and here was another set of instructions that I'm being told to perform, right? Like in the beginning of the book, you're I said she's going through a routine, but it was a neighbor who gave her, like, I think it's like good housekeeping at the time, of like when you should clean your home and what days you should do that. She's trying to follow it, and it's just like exhausting. Exhausting. Jesus Christ. Thank the ancestors, because I could never survive this era. Never. Mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Immediately. Send that man back to his mom. Some themes that stuck out with me after finishing this book, the oppressor, the pressure to feel and appear fine. I have recognized that in my own life growing up, of, oh, you're the smart one, you got to have it figured out. You're this one, and you're this one, and these labels and these things that you have to live up to. And it's just like, I am just a regular ass human being going through this experience for the first time, allegedly, because if reincarnation is real, I may have lived a past life. But like, I'm trying to go through this and learn just as much as you are, and I can't always be fine. There's going to be times when I fall apart, and I should be able to have that. And women and people should be able to have that. The fear of being unstable or being seen and labeled unstable, especially for women of color, like how dangerous that is. Like, we really can't just unravel in the way that like our white counterparts can. How society protects the que mierda, pathologizing of women. I was gonna get it out. I was gonna get it out. And how dangerous it is when a woman starts realizing, maybe I'm not crazy. Like, actually, I'm not being gaslit. Actually, this feels wrong, and I'm gonna speak up about it. And how everything starts to change when we don't play into that role that we're supposed to be playing, and we go, actually, no, I don't like that, and let's stop doing it. I'll talk to the pace and mood, and I won't give spoilers to the book because I really want you to read it, guys. It was a really good read. I'll say this: it's not a fast action-packed thriller. It is a slow burn, but it sits with you. In a not like a slow burn where it's like, oh, let's go, but like a slow burn, it's like, oh, okay, we were building here, really, really good. Um, it creeps quietly and then like sits and lingers, and I will say that I've had to read it and stop for a while and be like, let me look that up. Like I said, like, I didn't know that in 1950s people was putting jello and food together, so that put me on a whole tangent of looking stuff up, of just people, the expectation of like, if the husband came and said, oh, my boss wants to come home to dinner, you just had to like rearrange your life and do that. And I just be like, oh, hell no. But it, even the bringing on of the themes of the book too, it really does sit with you, because you're just like, damn, I can see this person needs help and nobody's asking her, are you okay? Right? Like they're just the expectations are just building on. It's perfect if you like psychological tension, a domestic suspense, very character driven stories, and books that make you want to talk back while reading. Because baby, the amount of I think the fuck not. I said out loud while reading it. Was many. I should have tallied them. I really should have tallied them so that I can tell you how many times I said it. Who should read this book, right? If you enjoy books about like women's inner lives, power dynamics in marriage, suburban darkness behind white picket fences, or stories that feel unsettling without being gory, this might be the one for you. Um, I also feel that it's important to recognize another aspect of the book, right? Again, not too much spoilers, but let's get into it. A lot of the conversation in the book and the unraveling and the cracks, there's an allegory here and something regarding and connection to what's postpartum and postpartum life like, especially in this time frame where women really didn't have any language for it. I mean, they called it like baby blues, but then the expectation was that it was a few weeks and then you'll get over it. Um, Lulu Mayfield isn't just overwhelmed, she's freshly carrying the weight of motherhood and expectation and exhaustion and isolation. I mean, even the way she talks about the pregnancy in the book, she's like comparing it to her first one. She's like, this one was tougher, this one's a lot more heavier. Um, she's even fighting with the thought that she's even pregnant because she's like, oh no, could it be? And she starts like counting back and she's like, oh, like it's not even like, oh, we're pregnant. It's like, oh shit, like here we are, here we go again. So it's something that really speaks to that, especially during that time. Again, postpartum wasn't called postpartum, it was more reserved to like hysteria or nerves or just a throwaway of she's just not coping well because again, as a woman, this is something innately you were supposed to be good at because this is what you were only supposed to do. So there's this also it's guilt and shame that's brought into when you're not connecting um on a heightened level with society. The title Mad Wife really hits because the word mad is kind of like a double duty here. Like, is Lulu really mad or is she acting normal to an impossible freaking situation? Is this a warning sign or is it a dismissal? Um, is it a way again to be like, well, we don't really have to listen to her because she seems unstable? And I think that that's what makes the book uncomfortable in a good way. Um, how quickly women's emotional responses become a diagnosis, especially if she's a wife, especially if she's a mother, especially when women's feelings are inconvenient for people. So yeah, it's not just a suburban drama, but I think it's also this postpartum isolation, identity loss, and what happens when a woman starts breaking under expectations instead of being supported through them. The title feels very spot on and it starts to feel like more of an accusation than a descriptive. So, definitely for sure would recommend this book.